Is God a mass murderer? Well, if you've ever read the Bible, you know the answer to that already. But the religious seem completely fine with that. In fact, a lot of them think it's a good thing. They revel in it. They're proud of it. And I don't understand that. Far too many actually engage in a little divine retribution on their own. But it's a-okay because, God says so. These people are true imbeciles. So let's get to it. Today, we're off to a short talk by Pastor Ben Hammond in a segment, I guess, that he does called Beyond the Meme. And if all you can do is hunt down mindless memes online all day, I'd say you have some pretty serious problems. And yeah, Ben Hammond does. Probably worse than you're thinking right now. So let's go take a look at Ben considering whether God is a genocidal mass murderer, because of course he is, and why that's completely okay. Because these people are just disgusting. They really are.
God is a mass murderer. After all, he killed the whole population of the world in a flood, didn't he? How could we believe in a God like that?
You're getting it all wrong right off the bat, Ben. See, here's the thing. Belief, or more properly, rational acknowledgement, isn't based on what has been done, or supposedly been done. It's based on evidence of existence. I don't refuse to believe that Hitler existed because he did an awful lot of bad things. I believe that Hitler existed because of the strong evidence that he did. You should only believe in God if there is similar strong evidence, which we all know there isn't. It doesn't matter if God is a genocidal douchebag, which, spoiler alert, he is. It should matter if he demonstrably exists and is real, which, spoiler alert, he's not. Glad we could get that out of the way. Now, on with your video.
Well, that's the question of the meme that we're looking at today. Here it is. It says, "For God so loved the world, he drowned everyone." Just kidding. The biblical flood never happened. If you do believe it happened, why would you worship a genocidal mass murderer?
It's a good point. Now, I do want to point out that Ben, at least judging by what he said initially, was reading the whole thing wrong. The meme, and I truly detest memes as most people know, but it says worship, whereas Ben said believe. Belief is not the same thing as worship, even though a lot of theists treat them as virtually identical. How many times have we seen theists demand that if you believe in their imaginary friend, you must worship him too? But that's not how it works, so we'll set that aside. The Bible said God threw a childish temper tantrum and murdered virtually everyone and everything on the planet. The evidence shows conclusively that there never could have been a flood as described in the Bible. And let's be honest, what idiot is going to bow down to a mass-murdering douchebag? Oh yeah, him. Yeah. So let's watch him try to justify it.
So the idea behind this meme is that the Bible is inconsistent and therefore not true.
No. The fact is that the flood story is total nonsense from beginning to end. Beyond the fact that the Jews stole the whole thing from the Hindus, it just never happened. It's physically impossible. There isn't enough water for it to have happened as described, and there's no physical evidence that it ever did. This is a nonsensical story that, unfortunately, some theists take far too seriously, because they're irrational and delusional. Everything in that meme is still true, no matter how dumb memes are. Ben here will simply stick his fingers in his ears and pretend otherwise.
It starts off quoting the most popular phrase in the Bible, "For God so loved the world," but then it abruptly stops and says that because he loved them so much, he drowned everyone.
Are you saying he didn't do that? I mean, your own silly book of Bronze Age mythology says that he did, after all. The flood myth was just God acting like an immature child, which happens a lot in the Old Testament if you notice. Seriously, the Bible spends a lot of time recording God's utter failure and complete incompetence. But the religious don't want to see it that way, so they read everything selectively through thick religious goggles and conveniently ignore the parts that don't make them happy, or tell themselves unsupportable stories to make it all come out the way they really want it to. This is not something that any of them should be proud of. I'm really not sure why any of them seem to be.
We all know that if you love someone, you're not going to drown them. Therefore, one of the statements is not true. Either God doesn't actually love everyone, or he didn't really drown them in the flood.
Then your Bible is wrong, because it says both things are true. John 3:16, for God so loved the world, yada, yada, yada. Genesis 6:7, so the Lord said, I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race I have created, and with them the animals, the birds, and the creatures that move along the ground, for I regret that I have made them. How he's going to square this, I don't know. God goes through the creation myth saying everything is good, and then a couple of chapters later, he's throwing his toys around and having a complete conniption fit. We're back to the meme being true. Read your damn Bible. It's all there in black and white.
So it comes down to this. The Bible must not be true, because if God sent the flood, he would be a genocidal mass murderer rather than a God of love. Well, just like we always do, we have to list the problems with this meme. First, love does not mean let someone get away with everything. Our modern understanding of love is tripping over ourselves to keep from damaging another person's fragile psyche.
And that may be true, but Ben is missing the whole point of the meme. He's quibbling on the first sentence because once he gets to the others, he's toast. I don't really care how he redefines love in this context. It doesn't change the second half of the sentence where God, who I already showed caused the flood and set out to mass murder mankind, actually followed through on his mythological threat. So it doesn't matter how Ben waves his arms around and tries to redefine his terms. The end result remains the same.
We sure don't want to tell someone they're wrong because they might feel bad, but God doesn't seem to have a problem with that.
He's not out saying mean things to people. He's out and out murdering them. There's kind of a difference. Now, I have nothing against a certain modicum of tough love, but this is way over the line. That's something we see from the religious all the time, though. The idea that, God created us, he can do anything he wants with us down the line. And that's complete nonsense. I created my kids, with the help of my wife, of course, and that doesn't mean that I can go out and kill them when they misbehave. That's dumb. It's all dumb. But consider the source.
As a creator, he has the right to require a certain standard of living.
No, he doesn't. And beyond that, as a supposedly omniscient creator, he should have known from the very beginning how things were going to turn out and never allowed it to happen in the first place. But as I said, the Bible is a comedy of God's errors. God screwed everything up constantly. Why didn't he know better? He certainly should have known better, but this is just mythology, and Ben is taking it way too seriously. Funny how the religious do that, huh?
Because he loves us, he requires us to conform to his standard, which turns out to be better for us anyway. Second, God didn't kill everyone in the flood. He spared Noah and his family. If he was just fulfilling his bloodthirsty desires, he would have wiped them all out.
Yeah, I'm sure that makes all of the dead really happy that someone survived. Here, this guy is just quibbling over words, missing the larger concepts, because he's trying to give his imaginary friend an out. If I walk into a house with 10 people and I only shoot 9 of them, that doesn't make it okay because I spared one. I'm still a mass murderer. Although I suppose technically in that case I'd be a spree killer, but that doesn't really change much, does it? And now I suppose Ben is going to say, well, God isn't a mass murderer, he's a spree killer, and that makes everything a-okay. I really wouldn't put that kind of thing past him.
Yet he allowed 8 people to live, knowing full well that their descendants would also reject him.
And why in the hell did he do that? I mean, Ben here even acknowledges that God should have known better and did it anyhow. Really, how in the world does he justify that kind of nonsense? God, with his nonsensical omni-properties, knew from the start that his creations would rebel, yet he did it all anyhow. He could have changed things. He could have refined his formula, but he didn't. That makes God a complete dumbass. An engineer doesn't design something knowing full well that it's a flawed design, knowing full well how to fix it. Then, when it does fail because, he knew it would, throw a childish temper tantrum and destroy it because it did the thing he already knew it would do. Yet the religious are just fine with God doing the same thing. What the hell is wrong with these people?
The flood actually was not just about judgment, but about mercy.
Oh, it was a mercy killing. Yeah, whatever gets you through the day, Pastor. Now, seriously, how many of you out there are actually grateful you don't know some of these lunatic apologists? I mean, if I had to live next door to this asshole, I'd move. Anyone who can come up with the kind of mental gymnastics that he's going through right now, these are not stable individuals. I weep for this guy's neighbors. Someday, I have a feeling he's going to snap.
In the book of Revelation, we read about how in the end of time, God's going to destroy the earth with fire. If he wouldn't have saved Noah and his family, he wouldn't have to deal with that, and he knew it. But he saved them anyway.
Because God wanted another opportunity to play mass murder bingo. He's trying to rationalize his way to genocide being okay if God does it. What the hell is wrong with this guy? This is like the neo-Nazis saying Hitler did nothing wrong. This is exactly the same thing, and not only does he know that he's doing it, he's totally fine with it. Not only is he totally fine with it, he bows down and worships the moral monster he thinks did it all. If you ever doubted Christianity was a cult, you now have your answer. Let's remember that there are 4 common characteristics to cults. First, they have charismatic leaders, Jesus, God, pastors like Ben here. Second, they have a transcendent belief system. That's clearly true of Christianity. Third, they have a system of control over their followers. They have to in order to get a normal human being to play apologist to a mass murderer. And finally, they have a means to exert influence over those who live beyond their direct persuasion. Look at the planet. Christianity is a cult. Let's not pretend otherwise.
Third, it's not wrong for God to take a life. God can take any life he wants at any time because he's the author of it, and it's not murder.
Someone please call the men in white coats because Ben has just proven that he's dangerous. Seriously, this is a psychotic belief. It's like I was saying before, just because I create life, that doesn't give me the right to destroy it. This guy is a lunatic, but we unfortunately allow lunacy in the name of religion, and that's where we continually get into trouble. That puts this idiot into Steven Anderson territory, and that makes it no surprise that both of them are Baptists. I kind of suspected as much, but I had to go and verify it, and yes, they are. Which is one reason why they're both spending so much time saying stupid shit. They're part of the same cult. These people are lunatics. These people need help, or we need to be protected from them. Pick one. Anyhow, moving on.
He could stop anyone from dying, but he doesn't because that's what we ask for as people in the fall of Adam. Fourth, the death of all those people was their fault anyway.
Oh, right. Victim blaming. Why am I not surprised? It's okay to murder people in cold blood because they deserved it. It's the excuse that Christians involved in atrocities have always used. It's not our fault that we murdered the heretics. It's theirs. They had it coming. Yeah, fuck you, Pastor Hammond. Fuck you. Seriously, this is why so many people are walking away from Christianity. Not that I'm complaining, mind you, but this kind of absurd, hate-filled rhetoric where they almost revel in the violence inherent in their beliefs because they've got something wrong with their brains. It doesn't appeal to anyone with half a working brain cell, which, doesn't apply to anyone in Ben's church. This is pure rationalization. It is insanely common among the religious. So long as you can concoct some bizarre justification, everything is okay. Nothing is wrong if you can wrap it in enough layers of religious bullshit. It's where all the violence comes from. If you can put just the right spin on it, you can convince yourself that absolutely anything is fine.
All those people who died had rejected God's revelation of himself. Because of his holy nature, he cannot allow sin to go unpunished.
So, God is a dick. Seriously, how is this any different than saying, because of Hitler's holy nature, he cannot allow being a Jew to go unpunished? It's just stupid, it really is. But Ben here is so utterly deluded and buried in his own theological stupidity that he can't see just how reprehensible the things coming out of his mouth actually are. Plus, he doesn't care. This stuff is so ingrained that it doesn't even go through his rational brain anymore. It just comes tumbling out without intellectual processing. That's why it's no surprise that it's all as stupid as it is. But they don't care because they've been brainwashed. These people have severely broken brains. They need professional help.
So I think we're asking the wrong question. Instead of asking how God could kill all those people in the flood, maybe we should ask why he would spare anyone.
Or why he would make all of the mistakes that the Bible records him making in the first place. I think that's a better question to ask. Why do you people bow down and worship this complete and utter failure? Because that's what God is. A failure, a power-hungry control freak who completely blunders time and time again, even though he should have known better, and you people think, yeah, that's who we should dedicate our lives to. What the fuck is wrong with you?
And why would he allow Noah to preach to them while he was building the ark? Why not just whisk Noah and all those animals up to heaven, send the flood, destroy the earth, and then bring them back when he was finished? Maybe God was offering them mercy, which they refused to accept, of course.
It's not as flashy, and let's be honest, none of it ever happened in the first place, so what difference does it make? The whole story is a myth. It never actually happened. It's like arguing over the finer points of Harry Potter. Who cares? Who sane cares anyhow? But these people aren't sane. There is something severely wrong with them. And you notice he never addressed the second part of the meme, did he? Where it says the flood never happened at all. Why? Because he can't. Because he's got nothing besides blind faith and a big book of multiple choice. These are people you can't debate with because these are people who are going to get backed into a theological corner and come out swinging. Because these people are just barely over the line from being dangerous.
By the way, that's exactly what's happening today. God is offering mercy to people, but they refuse to accept it. If you don't accept it through faith in Jesus, you will also reap the punishment you deserve.
And there's that empty threat that we see from the religious so often. Do what we say, or you're going to get hurt. And you have to hope that they're going to leave that to their imaginary friend in their imaginary afterlife, but yeah, sometimes they decide to take it on themselves and issue a little God-inspired pain to the heretics. It's okay because, yeah, God says so. We're just doing God's will, right? No? Well, so what? It's fun anyway. Look at the millions of religiously motivated murders worldwide every single year. How many lives are destroyed by these dangerous ideologies? But people are afraid to say a word, mostly because they don't want to get a target on their heads. Well, fuck that. I'm going to tell the truth. These people are dangerous and dumb. And if they don't like it, fuck them.
This meme, in my opinion, is way off base. So for me, it deserves a thumbs down.
Of course it does. It doesn't agree with you, and that's all you care about. You're using a meme to preach about things that have absolutely nothing to do with the meme. You're using a meme to spread your hate-filled message and your reprehensible faith in the moral monster you call God. It's no wonder hardly anyone pays attention to him, right? It's lucky, too. So anyway, I went looking at this guy's church, which is East Lake Baptist in Crown Point, Indiana, and when I was looking around, I found this under I'm New on their website. So let me read it to you. When you walk into our doors, you will be greeted by a team of friendly folks who are thrilled that you are here. Someone will be excited to show you where you and your children can go. Yeah, I'll tell you where you can go, Ben. All right, anyway, it continues. If you prefer to keep your children with you, that's fine too. Well, isn't that creepy as fuck? Yeah, we're going to separate you and your children on your very first visit to our church, probably so our clergy can molest the shit out of them. Because the Baptists have a huge problem with that, on par with the Catholics. I mean, how creepy is that? Does no one with a toe in the real world ever read that website and say, Pastor? No, of course not, because they don't give a damn. These people have some serious problems, and it doesn't take long to figure it out. So anyway, what do you think? Are these people really as crazy as they appear? Let me know in the comments. Ben was one of those apologists who I just knew what was coming, and I cringed anyhow. Do you ever feel like that? Because it's enough to make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, isn't it? This is just scary. It's utterly pathetic. It's sad. The religious really are.
Bum